Well, I think Eugene came from a family business that were founded by immigrants, his parents, and the family business and the family were an economic unit that worked together. And so he came out of that very intense atmosphere to USF as a student and realized there was another world that he was leaving behind in a way. And there was pressure on him to stay in the business, and he had his own career he wanted to pursue. So I think teaching and getting involved in family business as an enterprise at USF was a way for him to stay connected to his family and his family business.
Such a creature of San Francisco. You know, he was connected to USF for more than 40 years, and he kind of saw the city, and he knew its history, and he saw it evolving and changing. And family businesses have always been a backbone of the San Francisco economy, and yet the world was changing around them with technology and global competition, and he recognized that they needed resources and they needed support and they needed association and people to affiliate with in order to survive and to thrive. And I think that was probably the driving force behind his desire to create something like the Gellert Family Business Center.
I think also he recognized that many of the students coming to USF had some connection to a family business, and that we could serve them better if we had courses that helped them deal with those same questions that he had as a family business member of a new generation, as well as to help our students think about founding businesses that involve their families.
And gratitude, I mean, he couldn't thank me enough. Any little thing I did for Eugene, he couldn't thank me enough. He was so grateful, so warm, so caring. And I want to mention one funny story. I was kind of reviewing some of the times that we worked together. And sometimes Eugene would either, you know, misplace an article that we'd found together, or he had a citation and he didn't know, you know, how to find the article itself or something. And so he would send me these kind of panicked emails. We would laugh about it, you know, it was kind of funny panic, not terrible panic. But at one point, we were having an email exchange, and he said to me, in my mind, panic equals penny. And meaning that when he was panicking about some research need, he immediately thought of me and reached out to me. And we had a great laugh about that. And I told him his panic was welcome with me anytime.
Well, I remember Gene Mescott because I was a high school student, and I would come up to USF basketball games. And Gene was a cheerleader, and I remember seeing him so exuberant about rooting on the Dons and whatever. And that basically carried through his whole life. He basically wanted to support USF and the mission that it had, and especially helping the students that were here. He was engaged, I guess, for at least 40 years doing this. And he was a true pioneer in the small business area, but certainly in all the things that he provided for the university and for its students.
His office was like a shrine to USF. It had all this memorabilia around it. And the nice chair I sat in, I really sank down in, and so my materials were almost as tall sitting next to me because they weren't as heavy, they didn't sink. So we started the conversation, and Eugene started first, and he was telling me how wonderful USF was. And he is such a great salesman, and he loved USF, and so he was very articulate about it. And I finally got a word in edgewise, and I started trying to tell him what a great teacher I was and tried to show him my materials I brought. Well, Eugene, in no uncertain terms, refused to look at any of my materials. And so I was a little bit shocked, and then Eugene started telling me how great USF was again. And so when he got a breath there, I tried to get him to look at my materials. This goes on for 20 minutes, where we're talking at cross purposes, when finally Eugene says, "Diane, you didn't receive our offer letter, did you?" Well, no, I definitely hadn't. So after that, once we realized that, yes, we were both agreeing that I should work there, we did have more of a conversation about how great USF was. And I'm not sure if Eugene could ever have stopped talking about how great USF was. And then just the one thing here, I have this little apple. When Eugene died, they started the Muscat Scholars Program. And if you were a Muscat Scholar's favorite teacher, one of the things you received was his apple. And so unbeknownst to me, I did have a student who was a Muscat Scholar, and this nice little apple showed up in my office. So great to see him always.